Hello everyone, I'm Jim Longworth and welcome to another edition of Triad Today. Coming up later on, our infamous roundtable gets together. We'll see what kind of controversies they get into, but we have lots to do between now and then. We hope you'll stay tuned for the entire program. We'll be talking about athletic trainers and we'll talk about sciences, health science, and all sorts of things. Even take a look at some concerts coming up at the High Point Theater, so stay tuned for all that. But first, let's talk about the value of a high school diploma and maybe a little bit of confusion over what a GED is and isn't. I have three folks to help me out with this. On my immediate right, and returning guest who was here with us before, Andy Ward is Access Center career coach for Goodwill Industries in Northwest North Carolina. Next to him is the lovely Shannon Stanley. She's College and Career Readiness Transitional Coordinator at Forsyth Tech. And a very special guest they brought along with them, Mario Cotto. He's a phone systems administrator at CCI. Welcome everybody, good to see you.
Thank you.
Andy, I'm going to start with you. What is the Access Center Adult High School?
Yeah, so the Access Center is basically a partnership program between Forsyth Tech and Goodwill, and we work with adults 18 and older that need to finish out their high school diploma. So if they dropped out years ago, whether that was last year or 20 years ago.
All right, now let's get into the confusion part because I want to make sure I'm straight on this. You're helping them with a high school diploma. Now, how is this different if I just went and said, I'm going to get a GED?
So with a high school diploma, a student's going to get their transcripts from the last high school they attended, and any credits they had earned at that high school, they're going to be able to transfer those credits over into this program. So even if they left 20 years ago, they don't lose any of their credits. And so they're going to actually finish out whatever credits they have left to earn their diploma. As a GED is basically going to be, you're trying to get your test scores high enough to be able to test out of high school, basically.
Right. Now, Shannon, what does a student gain from your course beyond the high school diploma?
Well, with our partnership with Goodwill, we have the Access Center, obviously, that Andy works with them and does career coaching, and through their scholarship program, they get to enroll into skilled training courses through Forsyth Tech and earn.
Now, skills training. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but give me an example. Can you give me an example of what a skills training course would be under something like that?
Like certified nursing assistant,
okay.
Welding technology. We even had one student who graduated with their emergency medical technician.
Wow.
Right,
this
so
is neat.
It's been really wonderful.
Now Mario, what led you to the Access Center? What was going on in your life? Why did you go there?
So I wanted to further my education, and I needed to obtain my high school diploma. So that's when I found out about the Access Center, and that's where I got connected with the skills program, which I took the call center
Now, how did it help you being there and going through that process? How did it help you do what you needed to do?
So it really helped me network with many different people I think I wouldn't have met if I hadn't gone to that program. And it helped me, just open doors and find a lot of opportunities in different local businesses.
And that's how you got hooked up with CCI then eventually?
Correct, yes, they're partners with
That's great.
With Goodwill, and they've really contributed a lot.
That's great. Andy, is there a fee to enroll in this program?
There's not. It's a free public high school through the state of North Carolina. So.
Wow.
A lot of people joke, say it sounds too good to be true, but it is. It's a true program.
It is great. And Mario, before we run out of time, very quickly, if somebody's watching who's never finished high school of any age, over 18, I think you said you got to be
Correct.
18 or over, you can be 80. What do you say to them? What advice do you give them?
I think they should really look into the opportunities that are offered and take advantage of them. That way they can better themselves and get better jobs and improve their lifestyles completely.
Yeah, because I think, not to put you on the spot, Shannon and Andy, but some statistics I've read, there's a big difference between like whether you have no diploma and have a diploma in terms of your earning power, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so, and of course, Mario's living proof of that. He's come through the system, and I just appreciate what you guys are doing. Up on screen, I want to put some information on there. AccessHighSchool.org is one website that we hope you'll check out, AccessHighSchool.org. And also GoodwillNWNC.org, which stands for Northwest North Carolina, that NWNC. So I'll say it for the radio listening audience in WSJS, GoodwillNWNC.org, and ForsythTech.edu. Gives you lots of good general information about where Shannon hangs out. So we thought we'd do that rather than give your home number. We thought we'd do that. All right, to Andy and Shannon, thanks for the good work you're doing. Mario, congratulations on your career.
Thank you very much.
All right. We'll be right back after this. Right now on Triad Today, and we all hear about sports. We pull for sports teams, we play sports, and sometimes people get injured playing sports, and that can be kind of bad too. But fortunately, we have a guest with us who is hard at work to rehabilitate folks and offer all sorts of facilities to help out. Next to me is Christopher Ina. He's a manager of athletic training services at Wake Forest Baptist Health. Welcome, sir.
Oh, thanks for having me.
All the way from Cleveland.
All the way from Cleveland.
That's right. I've heard of athletic trainers on sports teams. What does your job entail working through a teaching hospital, for example?
So my personal job is, I manage all the athletic trainers for the medical center. So the medical center partners with local school districts to provide athletic trainers for the high schools. So they're out there providing services for the athletics in high schools.
Now, is that all the local area high schools? I mean, how many partnerships do you have going, or is it just?
Yeah, we started with 12 with Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools. We started with their 12, and we've grown all the way to 24. We have Wilkes County. We have some schools in Guilford County.
Wow.
Lexington City Schools.
And that's
it's
so
a great
important
program.
with all the the concussion protocols and everything's going on for kids of all ages and adults. I just think what you're doing is great to be able to reach out and expand those programs and put trainers there. It's so important to protect the kids.
Correct, yeah. I mean, just from a safety standpoint, our athletic trainers are there every single day, all practices, all games. We cover all sports, not just football. We understand that obviously there's way more sports than just football.
But if somebody's listening and says, well, wait a minute, Chris, you mentioned high schools, but my son or daughter is involved with a community athletic program. Do you help them too?
Sure. We just partnered up with the NC Fusion, so we're going to start providing services for their club and academy teams. We also cover the U23 team that they have up there in Greensboro. So, I mean, that's an expanding area for athletic training.
Not to spend a lot of time on this, and we can get you back and do it some other time, but let's talk about concussions very quickly again. In the sense that, what's the benefit to students and athletes of having this Wake Forest Baptist Medical Center continuum of care and the kind of care that's offered, whether it's on the field or afterwards, and helping with that? It could be surgery or helping with rehab. What's the benefit of that whole thing?
Number one is, recognize a concussion early. So if you recognize that you have a concussion early, you can start to get the proper care early. If you don't have that recognition, you might continue to play. Those symptoms last longer, concussions last longer. So if you recognize that concussion early, get in to see one of our providers early. You can start on that rehabilitation plan.
And again, the trainers that you're putting in place in the high school do a lot to make sure that doesn't get out of hand, but then you don't want the kids to say, oh, I'm tough, I don't need anybody to look at it. Don't do that. Get some help early.
Right.
Now, I think you told me off camera that you have like 25 sports med clinics, right, around in the area?
Yeah, we're all over this region, including Guilford County and all the way up into the Wilkes County.
Chris, do I need to be an athlete to go in there, or do I need to be an athlete who's had an injury and I need rehab, or what are the restrictions on being able to get into one of your clinics?
Oh, there's no restrictions. We offer same day, next day services. We have full X-ray. We have a fracture clinic, concussion clinic. We do all bracing. So not all injuries are sports injuries. I mean, you could fall off your bike and get a concussion. You could
Right.
fall off your chair and get a concussion.
Do something, mess up your leg or something.
Correct,
So
yeah.
I can come in the rehab or whatever, and I can consult with you guys and go to one of your sports med clinics. I don't have to be on a sports team.
No, absolutely.
One thing before we run out of time, I want to make sure I don't forget to do this, and that's to put up this for more information on screen, or even to make an appointment to see some of Chris's folks. www.wakehealth.edu/sports medicine. What a great sports medicine department. We have about 30 seconds left. Let me ask you, what made you want to go into this field?
I just wanted to be around athletes. Athletes always want to get better. They don't want to sit on the sidelines. And just, having that reward after you work with them for so long and then seeing them get back on the field and do well, it's just very satisfying.
Well, I'll tell you, you do a great service putting together your team of folks that go out there as trainers and coordinating all that. I just appreciate what you're doing and keep it up.
Thank you.
All right, Chris, thanks for doing this. We'll be right back after this. Back now on Triad Today. I was just looking at my drink can, and it has a UNCG Greensboro School of Health and Human Sciences on it. You can't really see it on camera, and you can't see what I'm drinking either, which is probably good. But anyway, I'm excited, also because of the cup. But because we have a special guest who came all the way from New York via Kentucky, and now he's here, and he's a new dean. Let's introduce him to you right now. Carl Matacola is Dean of the School of Health and Human Sciences at UNCG. Welcome to the program.
Thanks, Jim.
And to the area.
Thank you very much.
I guess the first question is, what brought you to the area? Why come to UNCG?
Well, I left, as you said, the University of Kentucky. I was there for 20 years as a faculty member and associate dean, and I learned of the dean's search here at UNCG. I've had some colleagues that I knew over the years, knew the reputation of UNCG, and there are several things that brought me here, quite frankly. One, the reputation of the school, the leadership, Chancellor Gilliam, Dana Dunn, who's our provost, and then many of the values that are specific to UNCG and the School of Health and Human Sciences.
Right, and I'm glad you mentioned the school because before I let time get away from us, is there something you can say very briefly about to explain to the public what the School of Health and Human Sciences is all about? Sometimes people aren't sure about terms. I mean, what does the department mean? What does the school mean?
Sure, we're a diverse school. We have 8 programs, 8 departments and 2 programs, and it includes everything from communication science disorders, which is speech, community and therapeutic recreation, public health education, social work, peace and conflict studies, kinesiology. So really, we function around health and wellness.
Now, let me put you on the spot. Is there at any point, does the school and the various entities within the school have connection with, partnerships with, interface with, or have impact on the community at large?
Absolutely. It's one of the things that drew me to UNCG. One is the commitment to diversity, and one is what I call community engagement or translational engagement. So the ability to take what we're doing in the labs and classrooms to the community. And I can give you a couple examples if you'd like.
Yeah.
We have several. One that I can think of, I went to a talk a few weeks ago with our social work students, and it was doctoral students and master's students who are working with the GC STOP, the Guilford County solution to the opioid problem.
Right.
And they basically are doing problem-based interventions and harm reduction, education, and are available to provide services to individuals.
And you guys are involved in it. I just think that's
great.
We are.
It's fantastic.
Now, there's some research going on within your school too?
We're pretty good. So we have some really talented faculty. We have, from an instructional standpoint, several of our faculty have won North Carolina State Teaching Awards. We are the #1 school or college in the University of North Carolina, Greensboro, for funding. We had almost $10.25 million in grants and contracts this year, which is a record for us. So it's really a nice coup.
You know, when Frank Gilliam, Chancellor Gilliam's been on the show before, and we've talked off camera too about the importance of making sure the students are ready for the workforce. And it's a theme with community colleges as well. It's a theme for everybody. You know, you want to be prepared. You want to have courses that are relevant. So I guess my question, again, to put you on the spot, is there a demand for careers in health and human sciences that you're prepping the folks for?
Absolutely. All of our students, or I should say the majority of our students, are provided clinical education experiences, internships. And to answer your question more specifically, the health professions are one of the fastest growing and have the greatest need if you look at projections out for the next 5 and 6 years.
Who or what, I'll ask it this way, who or what maybe had an influence on you to want to go into this kind of field of education? Was it early on? Was it a teacher in high school?
That's a loaded question, yes. So my mom was an educator.
Okay.
So she certainly was a role model for me. I had some really great mentors in my baccalaureate studies, and I had a great mentor in my master's who was an advisor both for me at my master's and doctoral level.
Good foundation. Up on screen, some information here, www.uncg.edu/HHS/ and that's for our radio listening audience too. And before we lose all our time, since I mentioned that you worked in the University of Kentucky, hypothetically, if the Spartans play Kentucky in basketball or soccer or golf or something, who are you going to pull for?
Hypothetically, they played, actually not hypothetically, they played last year.
Yeah.
And so as Chancellor Gilliam said, I had to respect the check while I was there, so I had my blue on. If they play this year, I'm going to have to cheer for the Spartans.
Yeah, you have to be loyal.
Absolutely.
All right, I don't know if he's telling the truth, but that's all right. We're going to take it at face value. Hey, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you very
much. Good job.
much.
Welcome to the area, and don't be a
Appreciate
stranger.
it. I would love to come back.
All
Thank
right,
you.
thanks a lot.
Yep, take care.
We'll be right back. Back now on Triad Today. Always glad when our good friend Dave can stop by and keep us updated on what's going on in High Point Theater, and that's what we'll do right now. On my immediate right, our good friend Dave Briggs, Director of High Point Theater. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you, Jim. Always a pleasure.
You know, earlier we had a segment with the new dean of over at UNCG, and I'm thinking to myself in the commercial break, you're sort of like the dean of theater directors.
The dean of theater. I actually am
You are.
of that ilk. Yeah. So
Dean Dave.
Kind of scary.
All right, before we talk about upcoming concerts, let's do a rundown on this past season. I'm going to call it season and not year, and I'll follow that
Sure.
up in a second. at High Point Theater. Was it a successful season?
We had a great year, and I'm not just going to talk about our specific events, but this past year we had an increase of about 23% in our overall ticketing, and nearly $700,000 in ticket sales per se.
Wow.
If we broke down our average usage, and this is sort of one of those things, if you're a venue person, you think about, our average usage was 7.5 hours per day, 365 days throughout the year.
Wow.
So we were very, very busy. We had over 300 events in the facility, not just all ticketed events, but private events and
As I
meetings
used to say,
and that sort of
as I
thing.
used to say in Broadway terms, the theater, they'll say, well, our theater is dark. Your theater is almost never dark.
That's right. We are never dark.
Something going
Yeah.
on. Very quickly though, so I can understand, when you talk about seasons, does it sort of go like a school season, like it come fall, you start a new season, or?
Yeah, for us it does. Our season generally runs September through May. Sometimes we start a little bit early. We've done a show or two in August periodically, and sometimes we'll even do shows in June. But September to May is a pretty traditional season for us.
Now, we've mentioned on the show before that there's certain things that people can come in and rent the facility, they can have their own shows and whatever, and sometimes you have partnerships, and one of them that you would email me about was the High Point Community Concert Association, which has something coming up pretty soon in October, or coming up in October.
Sure.
Yeah. No, what about that partnership?
Well, High Point Community Concert Association has been around for 85 years. They're the oldest professional performing arts organization actually in our area. And so a few years ago, they really were struggling to find a home. They were in the High Point Theater from 1975 till the early 2000s, and then they went off to High Point University and then been performing in churches. I really felt like they needed to be back at the theater, and so I reached out to them, and so they found a new home. This will be their third full season with us.
So you've got the Concert Association and you got the Community
And
Theater.
the Community Theater.
Wow,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, they
Well,
do all the main
congratulations
stage. Thank
on
you.
that.
Thank you
All right,
very
now let's do a rundown. Now that I've thoroughly confused everybody, let's do a rundown of some things coming up in the new season. Sure. Andes Monta.
Andes Monta is an amazing group of musicians. They play about 35 different instruments, and they feature the music of the Andean culture, from the panpipes to the guitars to the flutes. They're a remarkable group of musicians, and they're going to do a school show for us also.
Wow.
So there's going to be an educational component
For
for
the
that
students.
for students.
Vienna Boys Choir, November 3rd.
The Vienna Boys Choir have been around for over 100 years. They are truly iconic when you think about boys choirs and vocal groups. We're really excited to have them on a Sunday afternoon.
None of the singers are over 100 years old.
No, I
They're
don't
all
think
boys.
so. In
They're
fact,
boys.
in fact, it's a new cast from the last time I presented.
That's right.
them.
Gilbert and Sullivan. Gilbert and Sullivan on February 20th of the next season.
Yeah, the New York Gilbert and Sullivan players have really taken the Gilbert and Sullivan tradition, and they're usually doing Pirates of Penzance or one of the Gilbert and Sullivan, The Mikado, and so on. This one, for instance, they're actually taking the music that Gilbert and Sullivan lends itself to musical theater, musical comedy theater, and they've transferred that to show the relationship between the American musical comedy and Gilbert and Sullivan.
Good deal. Raleigh Ringers come back, one of my favorites, May 3rd.
Ever popular. The
Yeah.
Raleigh Ringers are so much fun. To be a local group of handbell ringers, and they'll play everything from gospel to rock and roll to classical music. Truly something for everyone.
I mistakenly invited them back without your permission.
Yeah, well,
at one
no,
time.
they're
Well,
already
you're on the air.
coming.
For more information, highpointtheater.com is the website, box office number 887-3001. Please check that out and get your season tickets. Go online and do it, or call the box office, and we hope you will do that. Congratulations again on the partnerships, on the successful season,
you.
and on being the dean.
Well, thank you.
All right, Dave Briggs. We'll be right back after this. Oh, back now on Triad Today. Time for the roundtable, and on my right, but always the political left, Ogie Overman, the great award-winning broadcaster journalist. Next to him, a man that we held over here from the last segment. We're glad he could stay with us. Dave Briggs, director of High Point Theater, is doing a great job. Had a great, successful season. Congratulations on that again, Dave.
Thank you.
And Keith Granberry, who last week helped Joe Biden with his debate prep. No, that's not true.
I did not
That's not
help
true.
Joe Biden.
No, that's not true.
Nobody did. Nobody helped him.
That's the nobody. He needed
nobody.
help.
Nobody.
He needed help.
Nobody.
Keith Granberry,
No.
founder of a Helping Hands Consultants, going around the world doing great things for people in economic development. So, guys, let's get to it. Our friend Alan Joines is seeking a sixth term as mayor of Winston-Salem. Now, let's take the personalities out of it. Let's forget that it's Alan. Would you like to see the General Assembly, who does step into things they shouldn't occasionally, but let's say they did, would you like to see them put term limits on local mayors? Ogie.
Not necessarily. Generally, I would like to see the state stay out of the local affairs unless there's a really compelling reason, like Flint water mission or something like that. But no, don't create a problem where there isn't one.
Dave.
I don't believe they can. I really do think that's up to the local government to decide if they're going to have term limits themselves. North Carolina Center for Government would have to be involved with that.
Yeah, Keith.
I think they can if they change the legislation, but I think that it can be a dangerous precedent if someone is in that position for that long, but I don't see where they should change it now.
Yeah, and I think
based
Alan's
on the
done
work
a good job,
the work
too.
he's doing.
Yeah. All right, speaking of elections, former State Senator Cal Cunningham, a Democrat, was going to run for lieutenant governor. He switched over now, and he's going to run to try to take on, if he gets the nomination of the Democrats, take on Senator Tom Tillis. Quickly, guys, can he beat Tillis? Ogie.
Yes, handily. Cal is going to be an attractive, I promise you, he is a very attractive candidate. People are going to love Cal.
Nice guy. He's been on the show.
Guy.
He was on the show
guy.
before. We invited him, and I think it was Elaine Marshall they were running against.
He's a good candidate.
And she didn't show up, and he came right here and talked. Yeah, Dave.
I think Tillis is vulnerable, but he may have a tougher time in his primary than he does with Cunningham. I'm not sure that Cunningham has enough name awareness.
To get through the primary.
Right.
Keith.
I think anytime you're running during a presidential election, the winds of politics right now does not favor Tillis at this point. I think
At this point, yeah.
At this point.
After seeking, let's go to presidential politics real quickly. After seeing 20 Democrats debate last week over 2 nights, which one do you think, if any, could beat Donald Trump in 2020? Ogie.
Well, I want to say most of them, and I think most of them can. Realistically, there's probably 8 or so that can beat Trump.
But as
I
we were
think.
joking around, Biden did a really bad job.
Well, he did, but it's so early, John.
Yeah.
We're 16 months out.
Dave.
I think the only one that even showed up was Kamala Harris, but really the guy from Maryland whose name I can't remember had the most cogent points and the best
yeah,
debate.
who was that, Bennett or who?
No,
somebody else. Was it?
John somebody. Right?
Yeah.
We've learned a long time ago that the best points don't actually win elections.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
the person that could challenge Trump, because you have to win in that Pennsylvania, Michigan area, is still Joe Biden.
All right, here's a touchy one. Last month, the Texas school district fired a teacher when they discovered that she was tweeting the names of undocumented students in the classroom to the White House. Now, I guess she was a Trump supporter, but let's forget that for a second. Regardless of the teacher's beliefs or prejudices, are you okay with someone being fired in any profession for simply reporting an undocumented immigrant? Ogie Overman.
To the White House. Yeah, I'm glad they fired her. I'm totally glad they fired her. She has no business doing Trump's work for him. He's got his goons out there doing it already. Teachers, that's not their place to do that.
You don't think teachers should be involved with ICE type
Ogie
things?
may be really surprised, but I agree. She should have been fired. This is a privacy issue. She has no business being involved in that part of the student's life.
But let me argue with you guys for a second. It's still a crime to cross the border illegally, and if you commit a crime, if you saw somebody committing a crime and you didn't report it, I mean, what's the deal, Keith?
Is it did the children commit a crime? The children are here because of their parents, so we can't say that the children actually committed a crime. It's a crime what she did, and you have vigilantes and renegades out there that are doing things that's disrupting people. It's wrong. She should have been fired, and if you could have did more, they should have done more to her.
And
it's ridiculous.
Motel 6 now in Arizona has to pay a $10 million fine because they were sharing information, to Dave's point, sharing information with ICE about people. I guess you guys say that's wrong too, Ogie?
I guess that's bound to be a privacy issue, but honestly, I think $10 million is a little bit exorbitant. Something should happen.
Dave?
Yeah, I don't know about the dollar figure, but it is truly a privacy issue. All the people are doing is checking into a hotel.
I think they should have been fined more.
More than $10 million. All right.
It's
Earlier
ridiculous.
this,
I want to know where the money goes.
Yeah.
Keith. That's what I want.
Earlier this month, MasterCard announced that transgender people can use their newly chosen name when applying for a credit card. Guys, you okay with this? Or could it lead to identity theft? Could it lead to people using aliases for illegal purposes? Quickly, Ogie.
No, that's grasping, Jim. They have every right that anybody else should have. I have only 3 transgender friends. All of them changed their name. They have every right as if they had gotten married.
Dave.
Yeah, it doesn't cost that much to have your name legally changed, and if that's what you want to put on your card, fine.
Keith.
Nobody's questioning Caitlyn Jenner She's transgender. She changed her name.
They might question her, but they might question her, but not on that. All right, finally,
Tough crowd.
finally, archaeologists, Keith, archaeologists now have proof that ancient Chinese civilizations got high on marijuana. Now, since the Chinese people are brilliant, we know that. I'm not making a joke. Their kids are ahead in math and science all the time. Do you think that that pot makes you smart, Ogie?
Most indubitably, Jim.
Yeah, Dave.
Sure, dude.
Yeah, I've just indicted Dave. And, Keith, does pot make you smart?
It may make you smart, but how do they know that ancient Chinese smoked it? That's what I want to know.
Well, because the archaeologists were
They were high, and they just made that up.
Yeah, they just said, I think they smoked
They
it.
smoking the marijuana and it's all
This is Keith's last show. All right, that's all the time we have, all except for this. A new study says that today's young people are starting to grow horns on the back of their neck from always looking down at the phone to text. Quote, that makes no sense to me, said Satan, who spends all of his time looking up. Something makes sense about that, but I'm not sure what it. For all of us here, except for Keith.
And Caitlyn Jenner.
Yeah, and Caitlyn Jenner. We'll see you next week.